Welcome back, everybody. Sport Federation TV. Nice to carry on talking to you about sport in the Western Cape. But, of course, we also speak about sport in South Africa. And finally, back on the line with us now, the president of SASCOC, which is, of course, all sport in South Africa, Barry Hendricks. Barry, welcome to Sport Federation TV. Welcome back, shall I say.
Always a pleasure to be part of your particular method of bringing sport to the public in the Western Cape, and any opportunity that I can get to use to get that message across about sport and information, I will welcome it always. So thank you so much for your invitation.
Yeah, no, for us it's absolutely great because we get to speak to the big chief firsthand. You know, we've got all these sport federations talking about sport and structures and clubs and colours and high performance and transformation, and we know that you're sitting at the top of the pile, so for us it's a real privilege, and we know that you're part of the family, so we're all having this common conversation, which is absolutely great, and so that's a real thrill for us. But Barry, let's get straight into it. 49 days to go to the Olympics.
The excitement is building. Our athletes are prepared. I haven't seen so many well wishes on Twitter in a long, long time. Those hockey women and hockey men are so elated that they are able to go. And at the moment, in fact, in Rome, we have the skateboarders doing their thing as well. And as time goes on, the 26th is probably the last date that we're going to use to fulfill, to inform the South African public about the final team. So we're waiting for everybody to compete, as well as Caster Semenya, who's going to compete in Lagos. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah, well, that was going to be one of my questions. I know we've got 49 days to the Olympics and 81 days to the Paralympics. On the Olympic side, you guys have made an initial announcement of teams, which of course has got players or athletes in it and coaches and management, but that's only a first announcement, right?
Yes, that was the first batch. You must remember, even the under-24s, under-23, sorry, in football, they have to present their squad because they are a team sport, and we have to wait for that. And then, of course, there are people still trying to qualify, like Caster Semenya, and we are waiting for those qualifications to come through to us as well. So we wanted to build the hype so that as we move closer to Tokyo, the South African public feels closer to our endeavors.
But of course, I suppose maybe a lot of people don't understand this, and maybe you can also explain it to us. SASCOC does not pick the athletes. The federations pick the athletes.
Yes, athletes are selected, let's use the word selected, or have to qualify according to certain criteria based on the IOC, the international federations, and the national federations. And SASCOC has confirmed that if you qualify according to that criteria, you will be selected to represent your country, as the gymnasts did in Egypt.
Yes, I think our most recent one was Naveen Darius qualifying for the game. So you've got some new names on the cards here coming through the ranks.
Look, we feel so happy that young blood's coming through. We feel so happy that people who work their whole lives, like the rowers and the sailors, to reach the point where they are now to be selected, are in fact in the team. The hockey people who were prevented from going to Rio because of our relaxation of the qualification criteria. I mean, they are so happy that their lifelong ambition has been achieved. And that is what SASCOC stands for, development and growth of athletes.
No, we think it's fantastic, and I think from our side, one of the parts that is really great is just seeing this conversation at the moment about sport, and the athletes and Team South Africa, and again South Africa's going overseas to compete. Look, we know it's a difficult year with COVID and so on, but there definitely seems to be a bit of a momentum around the spirit of the fact that South Africa will travel and go and compete against the rest of the world.
We will send a team of competent athletes, as well as competent support staff, medical staff, to make sure that our athletes are serviced and well prepared and well delivered for those games. The excitement, the passion are things that are starting to build up now. And there's no doubt that the moment they step onto that plane, that they would finally realize this is happening now. And I think that's what they're all waiting for.
Well, I'm going to look forward to the first photographs of those athletes stepping on the plane in their Veldskoene.
Yes.
So that's exciting.
Yes.
I think, and of course we saw that they're going to be wearing their Veldskoene at the opening ceremony. That's great.
Yes, and in fact, I'm wearing my Veldskoen as we speak. Because I'm wearing it, that leather must be worn in.
Oh yes, you have to. Yes, 100%. But I mean, that's of course a truly South African, product, and that's great. One of the big things that happened in the last few weeks also was the announcement that the Olympic athletes have been vaccinated.
Yes, we've used the SASCOC program, the trial program for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. We vaccinated our athletes as well as the SASCOC staff, as well as any other support member that's going to the Olympics. It's all part of the SASCOC program, and we want to really thank the Department of Health for assisting us in this regard.
Yeah, that has been. I mean, that is a remarkable contribution above any level of sponsorship. The fact that an athlete can go to the games vaccinated, at least have those choices, so that really, you must be happy with that. Barry, let's talk a little bit of the SASCOC side of things. Just for the folks that are out there, you have an athletes commission that is of course important at a time like this.
Yes, so we have an athletes commission, which is a requirement of the IOC charter, that every National Olympic Committee across the world have this body that represents the voice of the athletes. Khotso Mokoena is the chair of that, and Bridget Hartley, the vice. And they are now working hand in glove with SASCOC's board to bring in funds. They are actually allocated 150,000 from the IOC to run their programs. We will work with them to run programs. It's one thing to establish a committee. It's another thing to actually run programs that develop athletes. And that is why we're going to work with them to get this money allocated, so that every year there's an actual program that develops our athletes across the country.
You've also got a number of other commissions that do similar things at SASCOC, that take a look at your various programs, and of course that rolls across into the federations and across the provinces, and it really reaches across the board. And, would you consider that your, like you say, your working force?
In the past, we have not accessed the funding from the IOC to its true potential. There are hundreds of millions of rands, dollars, that will translate into hundreds of millions of rands to cater for our coaches, for our education and training, for our athletes, for our judicial body, for developing partnerships with other countries, for transforming sports confederations and the structures within South Africa. And that is what we're going to be focusing on, strengthening our bonds, strengthening our structures, using this available funds. And it's huge, and that's our focus, turning this organization in South Africa around.
That's fantastic. Just a last question, Barry. I mean, obviously, I think for all of us, our focus is athletes, Team South Africa now, very exciting. The Olympics is coming. But there's also the NOCA structure, the National Olympic structure for African Olympic federations. How does that work?
ANOCA.
How does that work, and how does South Africa connect into that?
So I was at a meeting in Egypt last week, and that was part of the elections of ANOCA. I've been selected to serve on one of their commissions, which is the Development Commission of ANOCA, which strives to develop the organization, but also all the National Olympic Committees in Africa.
Right.
And then I've also been elected onto the board of the Zone 6 of ANOCA, which is Southern Africa, the Zimbabwe's, the Malawis, the Angolas, Namibia's, Lesotho's,
Yeah, yeah.
and so on. So, and our role there is to further strengthen the bonds. And now, if you take into account that SASCOC can access this solidarity funding, but then Zone 6 can access the solidarity funding on their own, and then Africa. So the IOC has this huge reservoir of funds.
Yeah, yeah.
Must simply use to develop our sport.
And this builds, I mean, part of this process is building the relationship between South Africa and other African nations.
The only reason why I'm the South African president of this Olympic Committee and Paralympic Committee is because I build bridges and relationships. And that is what we must do to develop sport in Africa, Southern Africa, and in South Africa.
That's fantastic. Barry, I think we'll leave it at that. We know that you've got your hands full. The Olympics are coming up, the Paralympics are coming up, and yeah, we're very excited for it. Looking forward to the daily announcements that we see from Team South Africa. As you said, the passion is building, the momentum is building now, and everybody's talking about it. So yeah, and we know that a lot of federations are still doing qualifiers, and hopefully the things pan out well for the feds.
Yes, and we wish those athletes well.
Yeah.
We know that it's 5 years of training because of the delayed Olympics since last year.
Yeah.
And these athletes just want to get out there and do their stuff. We ask them to be safe. We ask them to train so that no injuries occur. Please, we do not want that. But then go out there and do your best at that in Tokyo. That's all we ask.
Thanks, Barry. We'll leave it at that, and we'll say, of course, to you, thanks for the interview, and stay safe out there.
Thank you so much.
There we go, folks. Barry Hendricks, the president of SASCOC, of course, spearheading sport in South Africa. So we're looking forward to all of the exciting announcements as Team South Africa now heads to the Olympics and, of course, the Paralympics. Folks, we'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we carry on talking about sport in the province. Back in a sec.